Hello there, my name is Adam. I'm a 3D artist and illustrator, and today I'm going to show you how to make a isometric room, but in a different way. So, first, let's go over here. Let's go to Edit, Preferences. Make sure you have Tab for Pie menu and Extra Shading Pie menu checked. Over here on Key Mapping, go to Input. Make sure that 3 mouse button emulated is on, and then go here to Add-ons and search for Loop and turn on Mesh Loop Tools. And search up extra and turn on mesh extra objects. There we go. Once you're done, you can go over here and press on save preferences, basically. There. Next, I'm going to turn on this, move it over to here, and this basically shows all the hotkeys and things that I use during the lessons. Okay, let's close that up, and let's get started. So, first thing we gotta do, press 1 on the numpad, if you do have one. So numpad 1, Shift A, then go here to Image, Reference. Make sure to uncheck this here so it doesn't align to your view. And then you go to where you saved your reference. Mine personally is here in this file, and we're going to click on this one where it says Cyberpunk Room 2. So let's load reference and click on R to rotate. Do it in the x-axis and let's do 90. There we go. G, constraint to the x-axis, move it to the side. And we're basically going to try to recreate this image here. Or at least how this room looks. Now, it might look a little complicated right now, but trust me, it will become much more simpler after we start adding a few little details everywhere. If you're curious how exactly we're going to make all of these things, because you'll notice that there's a few pots and stuff, not the least to say that, well, it's not at an isometric angle, it's at a straight angle. Well, we can convert it to an isometric angle. Or in fact, we can leave it at the same angle and that should work as well. But I'm going to make this into an isometric room. So, let's start doing that. First, select this, edit mode, go face selection, select these faces in the front, delete faces, and there, we're left with that. Let's go here, and let's add a modifier. Let's add a solidify modifier, and let's add a thickness of 0.09. Let's see how that looks. Perfect. Make sure to do even thickness so that the corners are correct. And if you think the thickness is a bit too much, you can always lower it to like 0.7, 0.6. Mine currently will be 0.7. And from what I can see, the room isn't particularly square-shaped. So we're going to go into edit mode. Don't apply the solidify modifier yet. Let's press 1 for vertice selection, and let's just do G, constrain it to the z-axis, and move it upwards a little bit. Let's add another modifier to this. You could apply the solidify for now, so let's go here, apply. And then we're going to add a bevel modifier. Let's reduce this number to 0.02, or 0.1 rather. There we go. At 0.01, and the reason is because it lets us see a little separation here and lets us know right where the floor starts. It makes our job easier when trying to place things down. Okay, so now that we have that placed, we can start adding all these details. So, the first thing we want to add is this table here with this like PC console thing. I don't really know what it is, but it's some sort of computer thing. I don't really know. To be honest, the artist that originally made this does not exist since this is an AI generated image. And we're just going to use this as a reference to make our own little like cyberpunk scene. But yeah. So we're going to start by making this bottom part of the console. It seems to just be a square or like little rectangle. So let's just do Shift A, Mesh, and let's do a cube. Let's scale it down and try to get it to like the same size. If you're having issues with it, the good thing is that we're at the exact angle at which the image is viewed. So the angle is somewhat like this on the original. So all we have to do is scale it to that specific size. Let's do GX, make sure it's touching the wall. GZ, move it down. There we go. And let's just try to get it in the same spot. So let's just keep scaling it in the y-axis until we get this thickness we're looking for, which should be somewhere around here. Scale it in the x-axis, GX, and now we can add this table part here. Don't worry, we are going to add all the details and stuff, like these little like crevices and stuff. For now, we're just making the base shapes. So, let's do Shift D on this, constrain it to the z-axis, move it up. Then just scale it down in the z-axis. Make it pretty flat. G, constrain to z, move it to where it's touching. And scale it in the y-axis. Let's say about there. You can always press GY to move it closer to the wall. And from what I can see in the reference, it's kind of connected to the wall here. So let's just do that real quick. All we have to do is go into edit mode, select these vertices here, make sure you have X-ray on, GY, and make sure it's, not having like any clipping in between the wall and the thing. Now we can go into face selection, grab this front face here, and do GX. And we can make it as thick as we want it to be. In this occasion, I think it should be... Here, let's zoom in. We can always move the reference, so let's get this to do GY. And let's scale down the reference a little bit, because it's a little bit too big in my opinion. Let's get it the same size as the room. GX, move it closer, and there we go. We can get the exact same size on everything. So it seems to be at this angle. So trying to follow along, let's turn off X-ray here. Face selection, select this face, GX, and let's move this outwards. Let's get out of edit mode on this and go into edit mode on this one. GX, move it outwards like this, but leave it hanging over quite a bit. Perfect. And that seems to be the correct shape there. Next, we're going to make this top shape. So to do that part, we're just going to select this object, getting out of edit mode on this one. Edit mode again, Control R, and try to get it down the middle here. And make it about there in thickness. Go face selection again, select get into the same view, and do extrude. It'll automatically get stuck to this axis, so you don't have to worry about that one. But there. And it seems to be a whole solid object. But it has like a little rounded off corner on the top. I'm going to make it just a straight up square, but we might add a few of those details. For example, if we look closely, it's separated like this on two pieces. So what that lets me know, go into edit mode, Control R, or go into edit mode on this, Control R, let me make a slice like this, let me slice this in half, Control R, and let's make it up to here. Let's do face selection, select these faces. If you're having trouble, you can always hide this. So let's just go over here and hide the main wall. And let's just select this and this. And we can just scale it down. Or optionally, you can just select this as well, like the back part, and just delete it. And click here on delete faces. Then you can go into edge selection, select this edge here, and do F on that. Face selection, select this, delete it, and forget to delete this face down here. So go face selection, this, press X, and do face. Can't forget about that one face there. Now do edge selection, select this edge, and press F. And that we don't need to do anything else there. But as for this little slice here, we have to just extend it upwards. But the difference being is we do face selection on this and extrude only this part. So just extrude that upwards, G, Z, to somewhere around there. Let's make this visible again. And it should look something like that. We can always move the faces to adjust how it looks. For example, if we go into edit mode, select this, and then do GX to move it out. We can give it more space. And just so it's visible, we're going to move these faces here. So go into face selection, GY, there we go. It's just so we get the same shape that we're looking for here. Now, I will say the front of this is way thicker. So let's change those little aspects. Face selection, select this. G, Z, make it a little thicker. Select these. G, X, move them outwards to make them thick. Next thing we got to do is make this little chair, mainly so we have some substance and stuff to add. Let's do Shift A, Mesh, and let's add a round cube. Scale it down in the Z-axis. Make it pretty thin. Scale it down in general. And it might look a little flat right now, but we can always change that if we really want to. Shift A, Mesh. Let's add another cube. Scale it down. Scale it in the Z-axis. You can scale it up a little bit. Yep. Let's just put it at the same angle as in the image. So like about here. Scale it down on the Z-axis until we can get the same thickness. GZ. And let's try to put it in the same spot. GX. Which should be about there. We can always scale it in the X-axis. And scale it in the Y-axis. And when it comes to distance, GY, it seems to be about there. The leg seems to be meeting there, so we're just going to do GY and put it about there. And GX, move it closer. Let's add a modifier, and let's add a bevel modifier to this. Let's give it 2 segments. And let's do... let's leave it at that, actually. As for the edges, they seem to be kind of rounded off because it seems to be a cushion. We can always convert it to a little cushion type thing. Let's add a modifier. Let's add a subdivision surface modifier. And let's put maybe 2 levels here. There we go. And that should smooth it out quite a bit. And that should also round off a little bit of the edges. Let's go into edit mode. And that should smooth it out quite a bit. Let's just leave it at that, mainly because the shape isn't, that warped. We can always modify it later. And the chair seems to be in a weird pose in between facing this way and facing this way. Let's do Shift A, Mesh, and let's add a cylinder. Scale it down quite a bit. Scale it in the Z-axis. Press 7. G, and put it into place. G, Z, move it down.